Doesn't it feel like Drake is actually making a comeback? I mean, look, guys, if you're like me, you saw Drake get his ass handed to him by Kendrick Lamar in 2024 and also part of 2025 that left him tapping out harder than Hulk Hogan did to Kurt Angle back in King of the Ring in 2002. Hey, shout out to all my wrestling fans, yo. If you know, you know. At the same time, you're also objective enough to see the momentum that Drake is actually showing as we await his new album called Iceman. And guess what, guys? In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly why we should all be taking note of the comeback season that Drake is currently on. See what I did there? By the way, guys, my name is Uche and I make videos like this every single week, or at least I'm planning to. So if you like what you see, hit that like button. It'll push this out to more people. If you wanna see me grow, hit that subscribe button. Hey, now let's get into this. So I ain't gonna spend too much time on this, but you know we gotta cover For All the Dogs and the Kendrick Lamar feud. Now look, Drake's last solo project For All the Dogs was extremely controversial because it was a lot of mixed reviews, quite frankly. You had people like Joe Budden, you had a lot of prominent names coming out and criticizing Drake, saying, yo, I don't hear the passion in his music. Where's the fire? Where's this? Where's that? And Drake essentially came out firing and saying, yo, I guess the album's not for you guys, or for the people who did like it, it was what it was. But then you fast forward to the Kendrick Lamar feud. That whole thing ignited, it put a spark into hip hop. And again, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that on this video. If you wanna check out more, yeah, I'm sure there's ample videos out there that talk about the breakdown of the feud, but just know that it was extremely tumultuous and controversial. It saw battle record upon battle record. It saw a 20v1. We saw rifts happen within crews. We saw J. Cole apologizing. This thing split hip hop right down the middle. And of course, unfortunately, Drake ended up taking the loss. Some people might say fortunately. Listen, I ain't got no dog into this. I just know he took the major L on that. But on the flip side, what happens when people get defeated? Guess what? They're always on a redemption arc. And I think that's currently where we are as we see Drake looking to make a comeback with this Iceman album, which in my opinion is a direct result from the major L he took in the battle. And so we're gonna see if this album can actually catapult him up to the top in hip hop. We know it's Drake, he's gonna sell. He has a lot of fans. I'm not here, I'm not part of the stan group on either side, but just know that that battle took a lot out of his public narrative. By Iceman in particular seems to be an album that's gonna make an impact for Drake, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. But before we get into the Iceman album that Drake is planning to drop in 2025, you know we gotta cover this lawsuit that he has with UMG. And unfortunately, guys, at least for all the Drake fans, I'm not gonna be here to condone anything about this lawsuit. My personal opinion is I think the lawsuit is disgusting. I think it's a slap in the face when it comes to hip hop. I think the lawsuit is dangerous. And I think if he ultimately wins this lawsuit, it will set a terrible precedence, not only for rap music, but also for music in general that, in my opinion, was once considered art at some point. You know, like, it's a dangerous endeavor that Drake is actually embarking on, but nonetheless, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. But let's take a little, high level view as far as all the key milestones, if you will, within this lawsuit. So late in 2024, Drake actually filed the initial version of the lawsuit, which was a direct result of the Not Like Us song by Kendrick Lamar, which was the fatality. That was the death blow to Drake. And Drake initially said, hey, I think he is artificially inflating the streams, right? Which is a bit weird because it's like, come on, we all saw all the viral clips online. The real people were enjoying that song. There is absolutely no way somebody could tell me in their right mind that song was botted and it didn't have an impact. But nonetheless, we fast forward to January 2025, where Drake actually refiled part of his lawsuit against UMG, which added the defamation angle. And essentially Drake was saying that the release of that song, Not Like Us, had real world impacts, which resulted in the shooting that took place at his Bridle Path home out there in Toronto. Now, once again, I think defamation is really weird. Again, guys, we're talking about a rap battle. Now, I do realize there was some real things that happened as a result of this beef, or at least in the middle of the beef. Shootings, bodyguards getting shot, which is all unfortunate. But I'm gonna be honest, guys, I can't sit here with a straight face doing this video and condone a defamation lawsuit like this for a rap battle. I'm sorry, guys. It just won't sit right with me. We fast forward to March of 2025, where UMG actually filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit and essentially said, yo, Drake, you lost. And you provoked the battle. Like, why are you suing us? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It almost reminds me of the 50 Cent meme that he has when he's sitting in the car. He's like, what'd you say F me for?
Floyd said, T.I., Nelly, 50. I'm like, what'd he say fuck me for?
That's kind of like what I feel UMG is saying. Like, what do we got to do with this? Yo, fam, you lost. Now you're suing us. If anything, you should have the decency to sue Kendrick. Rather, you're suing the people who represent both you and Kendrick. It makes no damn sense. Anyway, we fast forward to April of 2025, where Drake's legal team actually amended the complaint, alleging that Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl continued the defamation and the onslaught that he originally made in his original claim. Now, in present day and leading up to me making this actual video, the battle continues to be ongoing between Drake's legal team and UMG. And honestly, the case seems to still be in discovery, which is really strange because I'm like, yo, I don't know how long this battle in court is gonna last, but listen, man, if Drake has any pride left, he needs a W. And I just feel like this lawsuit with UMG is a walking L, because how do you prove defamation in a art form that is hip hop based in conflict? And at the end of the day, it's up for interpretation. And not to mention, guys, we saw the formation of Drake being called a pedo, a PDF file. I can't believe we have demonized the use of PDF files. Like, I can't even use a PDF file safely on my computer anymore. It's gotten that bad. Like, this battle has turned the word PDF file into a negative. I never thought I would say that, guys. It's unbelievable. All right, you know we gotta talk about the nonstop things that Drake has been doing, right? There was a point where Drake actually said after For All the Dogs, might have been right before For All the Dogs, where he said he was gonna sit his ass down because he needed to focus on his health. But unfortunately, it almost seems like that thing never happened. It's almost like he never said that, because he's literally been nonstop on the road since 2023, I feel like, right? If you guys remember, he went on tour with J. Cole during the It's All a Blur tour. He also had the Anita Max Win tour in 2025, which he pretty much went on a European, well, not European, but I know he went out to Australia, New Zealand, and a couple other places on that particular part of the tour. He also did the Wireless Festival recently, where he actually did 3 nights in a row, which was very impressive. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's not a lot of artists who can do 3 nights in a row with a completely different set each night, right? So pretty crazy stuff that probably Drake can only be a part of. And of course, how can we forget that he put out an entire collaborative project with his homeboy, fellow OVO member, Party Next Door, called Some Sexy Songs for You in February of 2025, which honestly, I thought that was a really good album. I know that album got killed for whatever reason, but it did have some hits that made it pretty obvious that Drake is still here, guys, right? You know, we had Nokia, Give Me a Hug. There was quite a few songs I feel like people actually, did kind of, hang on to. Of course, Somebody Loves Me, and there's quite a few other songs. But in addition to the collaborative project with P&D, man, that guy Drake cannot stay off social media, because he almost I would say, played his hand and just really kicked his foot in drive when it comes to continuing to stay relevant, right? We're talking about live streams with Aiden Ross. We're talking about creating this whole Iceman era arc and brand that he's been putting out, right? He's dropped a couple of Iceman episodes, right? Episode 1 and also episode 2. And shoot, by the time you're watching this, I'm almost certain episode 3 will be out. But nonetheless, he's had viral moments. We cannot take that away from the boy. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And look, we had probably one of the most viral moments of, I'd say, the summer, at least in my household, where he said, so what then? So what then, big dog? Don't look away now. We'll fold that up right now.
Don't look away now. Don't get shy now. We'll fold that up right now.
I know y'all was laughing at that like I was, man. I was rolling on the floor laughing, man. Drake is hilarious, like unintentionally it seems. And so again, as we anticipate this new Iceman album, Drake continues to remain relevant, which some might say is a problem because listen, for me, I was once saying he should go away, but listen, because we see he's not trying to go away, he kind of has to make an impact. And I feel like he's been doing that with all of these features he's been doing with streamers and the rollout that we've seen so far with Iceman. So let's talk about the new music that Drake has been putting out right now. Before we do that, let's take a look at the name Iceman, right? Iceman, the album. Listen, for all my NBA people out there, you already know what time it is. George Iceman Gervin, played for the San Antonio Spurs. He was a cold brother on that damn basketball court, man. That finger roll was pretty as a mother effer. And with that being said, symbolically, you could probably argue that's where Drake drew some of the inspiration from the album title that he's brewing up. I don't think he's confirmed any of that, but let's just assume he took the moniker of George Iceman Gervin, right? Now, speaking of Iceman, although he's dissing folks for defamation, he seems to continue to defame folks, which he did on his song Give Me a Hug, which was part of the Some Sexy Songs for You album that dropped in February of 2025. It actually peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, where he had some pretty impactful lines, right? I mean, it was a 2-part song. I love the production switches, the slow beat at the end. He shouted out Melissa Ford. He dissed Joe Budden. There was a lot of dope moments in that song where Drake was really, I think, firing on all cylinders when it comes to rap. We could hear that hunger. We could hear that the mind state that he was probably in for the last few months as he was dealing with the aftermath of the Kendrick Lamar rap battle that he was just in, right? And then we fast forward to July 5th, 2025, where he did drop What Did I Miss? And that song actually debuted and peaked at number 2 on the Billboard charts. And I'll be honest, out of all of the singles that Drake has dropped during this Iceman era, this song is fire, bro. Like, it's fire. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like even if you wanted to hate on Drake, you can't hate on this song. Drake gave you everything. He gave you a memorable hook. He gave you the melody. He gave you the singing. He was rapping at a high level. He just was really in his bag on that song. And I really feel like, man, had we not heard any music from Drake after the battle ended and he popped out with What Did I Miss? Oh my God, that would have been arguably one of the craziest moves Drake has probably ever done. But of course he didn't do that because he's been omnipresent this entire freaking time. But then also on July 25th, 2025, he also released his song Which One with Central C, which actually debuted and you could argue is probably going to peak at 23 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. And I'll be real with you guys, this song is summertime Drake. This song is one that I do feel has some potential internationally. It has some potential in parties. It has a lot of potential in people who are outside. You know what I mean? As the LA people like to say, or if you outside with it, you probably gonna understand and rock with this song. But at the same time, this saw Drake releasing his accents. Bro, I think he debuted a new accent on this song. I've never heard an accent like that. I don't know if this is like how they speak in Toronto. I don't know if this is like the Turks and Caicos accent. I don't know what accent this is, guys. But overall, I think the song is pretty decent. I wasn't blown away by it, but I think it was pretty decent. I've been seeing mixed reviews. A lot of people say they love it. A lot of people saying they hate it. But hey, we're going to see what it is. We're going to see what time it is. If the song peaks any higher on the charts, we're going to see what song he actually debuts in some of his additional Iceman episode series that he's putting out. But yeah, guys. All right, let's talk about the future and what to expect from Iceman. There's some rumors floating around online, which has not been confirmed, that the album is set to release in, I believe, October 31st, which is Halloween. I mean, like, come on. An album dropping on Halloween is a little... Actually, you know what? I was about to clown him. That's kind of dope. Didn't Tyler do that at some point? Tyler, the Creator, did that, I believe last year with Chromacopia, if I'm not mistaken, or some album like that. But anyway, the cool thing though, I would say is, hey, OVO is October's very own. That would be a smart move from Drake. It would also give him a little bit of leeway and runway to heat up the streets in the summer time leading up until fall, really getting people behind the project, right? In terms of producers, I don't really think there's anyone out there that's been rumored outside of his in-house team. Remember, Drake is in a very weird place in his career where he's kind of exiled from the industry and has been relegated to people that he rocks with and who didn't switch up on him, right, this whole time. And so I'm not sure if we're gonna see a bunch of features outside of the folks that we're familiar that he works with a lot, at least more recently. And then of course, you know, one thing that people need to actually be taken into account is allegedly this is his last album on UMG, right? And so unfortunately, that might not be a good thing from a record sales standpoint, because a lot of times historically artists, when it's their last project on a record label, the label has really no incentives to push the music because you haven't read up yet with them. And so we could possibly see a decline in sales from Drake's perspective, but at the same time, I think the stakes are so high musically when it comes to Drake that I think regardless of sales, which I try to stay away from when it comes to evaluating music, I had to guess the direction Drake is going in this album, it would have to be a super vulnerable tone. You know, I want to see Drake obviously rapping at a high level, but I want to see him touching on, you know, his mind state and where he's been in 2025, the people who have switched on him. I've been saying to a lot of my homies that this is the project that Drake has to vent. Hopefully after Iceman, we don't get him dissing LeBron every song, right? Like I'm tired of it. I'm sure you guys are too. Yo, I wish LeBron rapped, guys. I want to see a battle between LeBron and Drake, but unfortunately, LeBron don't rap. Neither does DeMar DeRozan and some of the other people that Drake is dissing. But hopefully after Iceman, we can put all the dissing beside us, because I do think this is a career-defining album for Drake. At the end of the day, Drake is a premier artist. He's been one for the last 15 years. We cannot take anything away from Drake. But in 2025, he's been heating the streets back up, guys. I've been seeing a massive difference in the way he's been promoting the music, right? I've seen him put a little bit more care and intention into the way he's rolling out stuff, right? You know, Drake has been very weird with his rollouts for the last couple of albums, at least solo albums, right? For All the Dogs, CLB, these were very lazy releases in my opinion. But when it comes to the last two releases, whereas we're talking some sexy songs for you, we're also talking this new Iceman album, I'm seeing much more of a dedicated effort for him to really push his music out in a more intentional way. And I want to say here in this video that I believe this is the comeback album that's going to create a bit of normalcy in the game. Drake is probably never going to F with the people that he feels turn their back on him. But in terms of the eyes of the public, I think Drake is going to re-enter people's playlists. He's going to re-enter people's cars. He's going to re-enter people's minds. And I think we're all going to be able to put the battle behind us. But what do you guys think? Will this new Iceman era for Drake be exactly what he needs to change the narrative around his career? Or has the battle, the lawsuits, and some of the antics that we've seen from him done more harm than good? I don't know, guys. Y'all gonna have to let me know in the comments, because you know good and damn well we gonna be here to cover that new album when it drops here on this channel. Salute to everybody for rocking with me thus far on my first couple of videos. Remember, like I said before, if you like what you see, hit that like button. You know, if you want to see me grow, hit that subscribe button. Again, my name is Uche. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.